Careers Unlocked, Mapping Skills and Building Your Brand. We're so excited to have you here today. My name is Janelle, and I'll be your technical support for this session. Before we get started, I just wanted to make sure everyone is set up for a great experience. If you have any questions or run into any issues during the session, feel free to reach out to me directly in the chat. I'll be here the entire time to help you out. A quick note about the tools we'll be using today. So there is a Q&A button within the on the toolbar. You can put all your questions that you have for Deshauna today in that particular chat, or you can come up on the stage and voice your question. If you have any reactions or thoughts about what's going on, if you're loving what's going on, you can just give us a little clap, a wave, a thumbs up. Yes, I see the thumbs up. I see the claps in the chat. Let's go. We're very excited for today. So now let me introduce our amazing speaker, Deshauna Meeks, who will bring us AI Careers Unlocked, mapping skills and building your brand.
Awesome. Thank you, Janelle, for that lovely introduction. Hi, everyone. Welcome to today's session. So we're actually just gonna hop right into things. Janelle, can you bring up the presentation, please? You're muted, Janelle.
Can you see my screen?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, perfect.
Awesome. So again, everyone, welcome to AI Careers Unlocked, mapping your skills and building your brand. Today, we're going to be able to explore and navigate the exciting world, if you're not excited already, the exciting world of AI-driven careers. We're going to be able to understand the skills that are in demand right now. And then we're going to work on later on in today's workshop, developing your personal brand. Now, today, you are expected to leave with actionable insights that you're going to walk away with. And I'm also going to provide you with practical steps that will allow you to be able to level up and take that next steps within your career. Next slide, please, Janelle. Awesome. So before we jump in, again, I want to go ahead and reintroduce myself. As your workshop facilitator, my name is Dejanir, but you can call me Deja. A little bit about myself. My pronouns are she, her. I'm based out of Durham, North Carolina, and I'm a transplant from New York. I always love to share that. So if there's any New Yorkers or Northerners in the house, please feel free to drop that in the chat. Would love to be able to connect with you all. And my background, just a little bit further, is I'm a professional development advisor and learning consultant with over 7 years of experience. I currently work at General Assembly as a senior career coach and learning development designer, and also own my own company. I'm the founder and CEO of The Next Link. That information is right below. We'll get to that. Fun fact about myself, I enjoy thrill-seeking adventures. I always love to share that to see if anyone in the chat can relate, because I say I'm a scaredy cat, but I will always love to face my fears. So that can be from like skydiving, zip lining in the jungles, parasailing, love it. So if we if we have any thrill-seeking adventurers in the house, please feel free to share that as well. I want to make this as interactive as possible to be able to get to know you all, so we all can learn from one another. And how to get in touch. You can find me on LinkedIn at Dejanir Meeks. And then also feel free to check out my website, thenextlink.com. All right, Janelle, next slide. Awesome. All right. So I want to do a quick icebreaker to kind of fill out and see who is in the room today and get to know you all. As I mentioned, I want to make this as interactive as possible. So feel free. You do not have to answer every single prompt on here if you don't feel comfortable, but share your name, your current role. And as we begin to talk about AI skills today, name one skill that you think is essential in AI. And also, I don't want to leave out, although this is a workshop, This is an opportunity for you all to be able to connect with myself and with others in the room. Again, if you feel comfortable, if you want, please feel free to be able to share out your LinkedIn URL so we can connect later on. I'm going to give you all a minute or two. Curiosity, okay. Awesome. Oh, hey, Brittany. Joelle, let's see. Joelle is a data analyst and here for Curiosity. I'm safety and sensitive content specialist, aka red teamer. Okay, I hear that. No blue team for you. I believe prompt engineering is an essential skill. Awesome. All right. And I do not want to butcher your name. So, because I know how that feeling actually feels. So let's see. I'm just going to say Pierre, the last name, communications manager, prompt writing. Yes, absolutely correct. Jerda, hi, Jerda. And let's see, pronounce Biha. Okay, thank you, Biha. Thank you for correcting me on that one. Awesome. And Gary, medical communications and adaptability. Yes, I love it. And Brittany, one skill, learning that AI is a complement, not a supplement to who we are. Yes, I love that completely, solely because you're absolutely right. I feel like, during this day and age, GPT doesn't allow us to really think as much, right? We kind of lean into that aspect and knowing that automation is a tool that can really streamline our work. But ultimately, sometimes I feel like it becomes that crutch. I know I'm guilty of it, so don't worry. And then Gerda, UX designer. Okay, I don't feel like I'm skilled enough. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about that. And also, we're going to talk about just repositioning your mindset and being open, to the in-demand skills that are changing this industry and many others, not just tech. Awesome. And then last one, Adrienne Guy, cloud engineer, ethical consideration. All right. Awesome. Thank you everyone for participating in that icebreaker. It was so great to be able to see the diverse community here and people across different industries. And Janelle just added one, accessibility, absolutely, across different industries. And so welcome. We have different perspectives in the room. I'd love that for today. All right, we're going to move on. Janelle, next slide. Awesome. So today's agenda, we're going to be covering 5 different areas. First, we're going to talk about exploring careers in AI. Here's where we're going to actually take a deeper dive in exploring not only technical roles, but non-tech roles as well. And where does that fit in with your skill set? Once we identify those different areas, because we tend to lean so much into AI and we think tech, but there's non-tech aspects as well. And then point 2, we're going to discuss mapping your career path in AI. Here's where we're going to really focus and hone in on that interactive session that I mentioned earlier, where we're going to talk about your soft skills, your transferable skills. We're going to go through a few exercises to allow you to be able to identify those skills gaps. And then next up, we're going to talk about building your brand. Here's where all the exercises that we're going to do today is so much. We're going to be able to tie all of that into your brand statement that you're going to leave here with today. And then we're also going to leverage the brand statement to allow you to begin to feel comfortable and curate that elevator pitch, that 60-second elevator pitch that you're going to put together to really start to begin to brand yourself towards this new area that you're taking interest in. And then lastly, take action. This is where we're going to put everything that we discussed today into action in the context of networking and job search. Awesome. Janelle, next slide, please. And next slide, please. Awesome. So let's start out with some statistics. We can never kick off a workshop without bringing, metrics or content that is relevant to the topic here today. And what I want to share here with you all, because you are all here for the same reason pretty much, to learn more about AI. Where's the direction that AI is heading for? Is you're probably thinking, is AI going to take over my job one day? What skills do I need? And so to give that a little context about what it's going to look like in the upcoming years, we know that Gen AI is basically like the lead in charge in this industry, with roles that are skyrocketing, right? We're seeing a lot of employers really seeking new employees who have this existing skill set. And so what we have seen, what Forbes have shared in a recent article, is that by 2030, there will be over more than 7,000 jobs available that are AI related. And so this shouldn't really come surprising to many of us, right? Because, as we mentioned with our icebreaker, what is one essential skill that is needed for AI? And we are already leaning into tools like ChatGPT, Dolly, where both of these tools have really revolutionized the tasks that we create, like on LinkedIn. I'm sure a lot of us do content creation. We put a prompt in ChatGPT, and then poof, we have our post for the day, or a multitude of posts to be able to share and generate and grow our audience. And so even coding, honestly, right? Coding has become, I'm not going to say it like the crutch, but when we're thinking about coding and problem solving, we are leaning into that ChatGPT to be able to really write out a code for us that is clean, that will not break. So I want to point that out as well, that will not break. But even so, in that particular context, we all know that ChatGPT and these automation tools can really handle that complex data and decision-making processes, right? So instead of employers seeking to replace AI, right, AI generated tools, they're looking to be able to have you all supported by being upskilled, right? And so we have to be able to move in the context of getting ready for what's ahead, right? Because if we don't get ready, we're going to be left behind. This market is growing fast, and we don't want to have to scramble to be able to keep up. Next slide. And before we go any further, again, I want to remind you all that if you have any questions, you have any comments, you want to react, let me know how it's going. Again, I always encourage to stop, ask a question. If you want to be brought up to the stage, we can absolutely bring you up to the stage as well. But I would love to hear from you all as we go through today's session. All right, awesome. So here's an overview of AI-related careers. Now, as you heard me mention earlier, when we think of AI, what is the first thing that we think about when we're associating it with an industry? When we think of AI and the capacity in which is utilized on a daily basis, what industry do we immediately jump to? IT, yes. Alima, IT. Joelle, let's see. I just got my first tech job, no coding, from my experience as an editor, writer, and degree in psych. So I believe this. Yep. I love it. You're absolutely right. What do you think? Janelle, so what do you think of when you think of AI? Government. Absolutely. This chat is hot. Oh my God, I love it. Awesome. The first thing that we do think about, everyone who shared their comment, is IT or tech related industry, right? But one thing that we really don't think about, and we have the content here up in front of us, right, is how can it be employed in our roles? Now, my next question to you all, to the audience, is, and we're going to test out the relevancy. I always like to pull the card here of my content for today. How many of you are, when you're if you're job searching or if you're looking at roles online, are seeing that at least one job posting has a required skill of knowledge in the aspect of ChatGPT, automation tool, AI in general, some sort of verbiage that's cued for, hey, AI is now becoming an industry trend. So, question again, let me rephrase that 100%. That's what Halima said. How many of you are seeing AI listed as one of the required skills for any of these, right? Jobs that I have up here in front of you, whether it's machine learning, software development, I know 100%, right? Data science. Now, with AI growing so fast and so quickly, employers are looking for the most fast and efficient way to be able to really streamline processes. And they want someone with this knowledge in this particular area. And look, everyone said like 100%, 100%. Awesome. Janelle, next slide, please. But one aspect that I really want to give some attention to here is AI beyond just the code, right? Because the first question I asked everyone was, what industry, when you think of AI, what is AI associated with immediately? And we think of tech, right? But there's some folks in this room that either fit into the category working maybe ed tech, maybe marketing, or product. And so when we think about these three different areas, well, Deja, that's great. We know that the data scientists in the room, the software developers, and folks in IT and cybersecurity, but what about me? How can I use AI in my current role? And so, absolutely, if you work in ed tech or you have a background in ed tech, whether you're a teacher, whether you're a content creator or instructional designer like myself, or work in a capacity as an education specialist, if you are utilizing AI currently, whether it's to build out curriculum or a course, or you're teaching AI to your students, and we're going to go into that branding aspect further, like deeper in today's workshop, you just, even if you feel that, hey, well, I'm just using it for fun, I had to streamline my process to be able to build out today's lecture, that is an accomplishment that should be cited within your job search materials, right? That is a skill that should be listed within your skills section. If we think about the marketing aspect in the marketing area, content strategist, right? Customer insights analysis or marketing specialist, just in general, marketing manager. Now, I want to ask you all today, and this is just for each category, is that today, we're thinking about December 13th. If you had to think about out of 100 people, right, that works in any one of these industries, who is more likely to utilize ChatGPT on a daily basis? And there's no right or wrong answer to this. Who do you feel is utilizing AI on a daily basis? Again, I want to say this. I'm not ashamed. I am. Right? I work at everyone. Thank you, Janelle. Everyone is utilizing AI on a daily basis. And so, from the aspect of product, I want to move on to product because we have some UX designers in the room. When we think about product and we think about UX and UI design, ChatGPT can be implemented for various aspects, whether you're just getting started within your job search and you're curating your case studies. You need visual design ideas. There's literally, and I want to share this, there's literally a course out there that teaches UX and UI designers on how to build out your case studies utilizing ChatGPT. All right. And if you're applying for roles or if you're utilizing it on a daily basis, AI should be listed within your resume and your materials. Awesome. Next slide. All right. Awesome. So As we move along, we're starting to step into the interactivity portion of today's workshop. And so there's 4 areas for today's workshop that we're going to be working through. And the first area is self-assessment. This is where we're going to take the time to be able to reflect on your existing strengths, your skills, from your hard skills, your soft skills, and be able to identify areas for growth. Right? It's kind of like that strengths and weakness question. What skills do I have? What skills don't I have? What do I need to do in order to move forward to be able to advance in this area, this particular area of AI, and where I'm looking to transition my career into? And then the second step is role exploration. This is where we're going to start narrowing down, because you saw in the previous slides, right? It's more categorized, like more industry-wise, marketing, product, data science, data analysis, right? If you're transitioning from a non-traditional background into tech, or if you're someone who's actually transitioning out of tech, what would those roles look like for you? And so based off of the skills that you identify, you're going to align a career pathway that would make sense for you to consider and pursuing in the aspect of AI. And then skills development. We know that this is no easy niche area, meaning you're going to have to upskill or reskill, right? So those aspects of identifying potential coursework, or identifying potential boot camps, or identifying potential, even as down to like YouTube videos, to be able to help you become more aware of the ethics, the best practices, how to effectively utilize automation tools in order to prepare for that career transition. And then lastly, networking and job search. So I'm sure we're all familiar with this particular area, but this area is really going to focus in on how to target those AI related roles, what to look for, what roles are actually out there, and who is it that you need to talk to. Next slide, please, Chanel. Okay, awesome. All right, this is the fun slide. So understanding your industry. Does your previous experience count? Now I'm going to ask everyone, drop in the chat. What I would love to know is, what industry were you in before you transition into tech? Because now we're going a little bit backwards. Aviation. Oh, I love that. Special work. Healthcare. Love it. What else? Keep it coming. Finance. Love it. FinTech. Oh yeah, I was gonna ask Yerda. What? I was gonna ask mental health and holistic wellness. Love it. Love it. Love it. Anyone else? Keep sharing in the chat. I love this. And the reason why I'm asking you all that question is because a lot of times what tends to happen, which I notice, is that when I'm working with a client and we're building out a resume and we're talking about their skill set and really working through to be able to create a job search plan that makes sense for them, I find that they tend to leave their most valuable past experience off their resume. So for example, let's just say I have a barista who formerly worked at Starbucks. And this barista has now pursued a career in boot camp at, let's just say, General Assembly or Perscolas, any one of these boot camps, and they leave off their customer service background. Why are you leaving off? Why do you think that they're leaving out their customer service background? Most common reason. And they'll list all tech. Not relevant. Okay, I like that. I like that. That's a good answer. Now, Halima, I'm sorry for calling you out now because you were the first one to answer. But yeah, no, you're correct though. They think that it's not relevant. But I want to ask everyone, do you feel that your former experience is relevant? Soft skills matter, absolutely. Do hard skills matter? Yes. Awesome. Awesome. I'm glad that we're like, everyone is on the same page here. And the reason why I share that, right? Because we have a lot of people across all aspects here that I just mentioned. So we have people who worked in finance, we have folks here in aviation, we have folks here from health and wellness. And if you're looking to transition into a career, right? Let's just say we're going to use healthcare, for example, right? Hospitals will never go away, right? Doctors will never go away, right? The health industry is never going to go anywhere. But guess what? Look what's happening within just the tech space in general. So if you can take the skills and having that knowledge and that background, right? Because that work, that setting within a hospital, right? Understanding processes, procedures, understanding work culture, the dynamics of that particular environment versus someone who is, let's just say, an engineer who's coming from maybe a nonprofit background, or engineer who's coming in from maybe working in customer service. Now, if you have someone that has been exposed to the industry, right, but maybe took a step away from the market to be able to pursue additional skills or attend a boot camp, maybe UX, UI, and return, right? Return back to this industry and say, I'm now branding myself as a software engineer or a UX to be able to enter the market. I like to call that a targeted job search. So anytime I'm working with a client, we create a two-part plan. You're going to create a targeted job search where you're leveraging your background within your former industry, but you're coming in anew, right? And then that, when I say anew, I'm saying a new engineer, a new UX designer. And then that second part of that plan is that safety net. Well, if these are your targeted roles, what are you comfortable in doing if you don't land that job that you want? All right, that's still adjacent to that industry. And so, as we're talking through everything, I really want you to begin to start thinking about those things like, hey, I'm actually interested in wellness tech, or I'm interested in going into ed tech as, let's just say, a software engineer, maybe an education specialist. Okay, that's great. That is your target. But what are you comfortable in doing still within that industry, right? Leveraging your advanced skill set now in AI, what does that look like for you? And so we're going to break this down. Janelle, next slide. All right. How do we break this down? So when we're looking at, I heard so much throughout the chat about, what roles actually fit your transferable skills. We talked about, I heard someone someone wrote in the chat, transferable skills matter, and soft skills as well. And so I have this chart in front of you to really break down, right, the categories that we spoke about earlier. You remember in the first slide, I had software development, data analytics, and then I also had marketing and education, right? So this chart only covers 4 different areas: customer service, client development, teaching, and people management. But I wanted to give you a viewpoint, a visual on what that actually would look like for you. And as we're going through these different exercises and we're doing, you all are brainstorming in your mind right now, because again, we're about to go into a short exercise. Some of you who have a customer service background, but may have an interest in engineering, or may have an interest in something else. I'm curious to kind of hear from you all, like, if you're on a job search right now, if you're transitioning into another industry, transitioning in or out of tech, would love to hear from you. What category do you feel that you align with the most? Now, customer success engineer. Okay, customer success engineer, client development. And just got my experience aligned with marketing specialist. Your experience aligns with marketing specialist. Awesome. Let's see, because I'm client development. Okay, that's a good one. Client development. Now, Biha, I want you to think about, as you know, you identify that particular category, marketing specialist, and the main skill here is client development. What adjacent transferable skills can you bring into this? Right, we're still thinking about in the context of like soft skills, but I also don't want you to shy away from the hard skills as well. I'm automatically assuming still maybe people management. If you have leadership skills, right? One category is not a one size fits all. I have experience development. Excellent. Client development, people management. And these are just the transferable skills, y'all, that we're talking about, not the exact like AI. We're going to go into like AI, the hard skills aspect, in which you may all want to consider in the upcoming slide shortly. Build client searching marketing. Excellent. I hope that is all on your resume. So let's see. We have security specialist. All right. So security specialist and customer service. So a lot of people facing skills, a lot of problem solving skills there. All right. All right. UX UI. All right. UX UI. So we're thinking about client development, of course, UI interface. Love that. Yeah. Awesome. It is. Awesome. All right. All right. Keep throwing out skills in the chat. I'm paying close attention. Wanting to be able to give you all some ideas to think about. Don't hold back. If you leave here with anything today, don't hold back on your skills section. What you think may or may not fit, put it on your resume, right? Because sometimes when you're invited to, let's just say, an interview, they may ask for an updated resume if you begin talking about certain accomplishments that you haven't shared within your actual resume. So what I always say is put everything in there and just have a career coach or someone review your profile, right? Whether it's your LinkedIn profile or your resume. I can't look at this chat no more because these jiffies is too funny. Actually, I love that. Thank you. Also, next slide, please, Jeanette. Awesome. All right. So we are going to do, I have a special surprise for my entire audience. As I mentioned before, today you are going to leave here with some gems. You're going to leave here with something. And so our first part of today's exercise, I'm going to share a worksheet that I have put together specifically for today's event. And this worksheet is going to go through each step that we're working through today, plus some. So we're going to work through our first exercise. Now, I do want to say this. You have viewer access. So what I want you to do is to go to File, make a copy, rename it, call it what you want. This is your document now for a keepsake, at least to help you keep track of everything that we spoke about, and then also for you to be able to add more to later. You're going to make a copy, and then you're welcome, Halima. And what we're going to do is we're going to have our first self-assessment with some of the gems that I already spoke about. And so on the first tab, you would notice down at the bottom of the tab, it says step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, step 5. The additional tabs, like I said, you're going to leave with some additional gems. This is pretty much like, think about it as your job search toolkit. So I put together where it's like a resume self-review. It's kind of like a basic checklist for you to go through and make sure that everything that should be included in your resume, as well as your LinkedIn. Also included a cover letter version and then portfolio self-review. So again, I know we have a very diverse audience here. So if the tabs relate to you from the portfolio access, then absolutely complete it as well. Oh, you're welcome. All right. So the first tab. Now we're gonna have 5 to 8 minutes for this, and you can think about it like this. Usually, I will put you all out in breakout rooms. I don't want to do it as we have a small group here, very intimate. So we're gonna stay in the same room. What we're gonna focus on is I want you to one reflect on the technical skills you currently have. So, example, if you're a data analyst or in programming and you have familiarity with tools such as Python, TensorFlow, of course, ChatGPT, DALI, any one of those tools, and I'm sharing, additional aspects, areas for you to be able to consider. But then also think about your transferable skills. That strong communication, leadership, problem solving, project management. I love the fact that we had already shared out like the marketing aspect and said like, yeah, so I hope you have everything in your resume. You're just like, yes, yes, it's there. I want you to be able to, whether you're answering the questions or you're using a brainstorming session area in the tab, go ahead and like work through that, or we can talk through it as well. But ultimately, we're spending 5 minutes on this right now. And then let me know if you have any questions on how to utilize the sheet. Now dropping Jen. I'm curious to know. I just wanted to jump in here really quick. What are some things that you all came up with so far? I would just love to hear about like the hard skills. Oh, let me see. I love that BI using marketing analysis platforms like Adobe Analytics, Salesforce Marketing Cloud, etc. Do you also know? Because I'm sure you know by now, BI, that AWS is a industry trend now. Cloud practitioner. Yeah, yeah. I will say this. I'm not sure if Amazon still does it, but Amazon. All right, y'all gonna hate me for the minute. Amazon offers a free program for women in tech. So they basically offer free courses to obtain like your practitioner certification. They only provide a voucher for one test, so one exam. They only cover one exam, but Amazon has like a free program. I know they had it this year and last year, so I would check out to see if they still offer it as well. But I believe they recently expanded beyond just like offering it to women in tech. But don't quote me, but I know the program is there. What I would say, Biha, is look up like Amazon, Google like Amazon's free cloud practitioner like program or something along that lines, and then it should bring you to like the page that has all of the content. But I know it's like cloud practitioner. They offer 3 exams, but it's based off of tier. Yeah. You're welcome. You know what it's called. And then who else? Mm, Let's see. Practical application. So Halima said practical application knowing the skills are different from applying them in real world. True, Halima. True. So when you say practical application, I would love to hear like you expand on that. When you say practical application, knowing the skills is different from applying them in the real world. True, right? Whether you applied it in a real world or not, whether it was through a project, you should certainly emphasize that. Whether it's in a project section, wherever it exists, you should still share it. And I want to say this, I'm a very transparent professional development advisor and learning consultant. So I always tell folks if you touched it one time, and I'm talking about a tool, if you touched it one time, there's a difference between being knowledgeable, being an expert, and really growing your skills in that area. Is if it's still something that you're interested in, you touched it one time, you're gonna use it again. Like put it on your resume. We're not saying like, oh, when someone looks at it, you're advanced in that area, but you are knowledgeable. You have a fundamental understanding of how to utilize that particular tool. You're aware of its capabilities. You just don't exercise it frequently, and that's absolutely fine, but it should still exist within your brand. Your brand is your entire job search toolkit. Awesome. All right. Awesome, everyone. So, how was that? Did was it a little bit daunting thinking about this? Awesome. So Halima said, while I have the listed necessary skills, I recognize that they differ from the hands-on experience gained from working in a company over time. True, true. But let's say, Halima, I'm going to say this. Let's just say you worked on a personal project, whether it's personal or if you're working with a company directly, utilizing that application, language framework, database. When we look at the difference, the only difference there is that, hey, I use this at work. Hey, I use this on my own personal time. Regardless, you should still put it in your resume and in your brand statement because everything we're doing today is going to help you develop that brand. All right. Next slide, Janelle. All right. You're welcome, Halima. So next, we're going to move on. We're only going to spend about like 5 minutes on this particular slide in this particular exercise. What we're going to do now is actually spend about 5 minutes where we're going to take the time to be able to match your skills with the roles that you are considering, right? So if you are a UXer, and let's just say, for example, you want to become a product designer, right? There are skills like product design and AI go hand in hand. Like everything that we're talking about today, these are existing roles out there. And the demand for these particular skill set is at its peak. And so, what we're doing for you all is to have you build out your soft skills, putting everything down on paper, your technical skills. But now we're going to actually match you up with the roles that you're considering. Does it align? So, for example, let's just say I want you to be able to, like, just open LinkedIn. We're just going to use LinkedIn. But let's just say if you're someone, I have an example here, who enjoys working with people, but you don't have a coding background. But you don't have a coding background at all. I know someone was in this room that says, like, I just transitioned into tech with no experience. You might consider roles like AI project manager or AI marketing specialist or AI talent acquisition specialist. And some of the things that you want to consider in this particular area is how can you bridge the gap between technology and business? What is the connectors there for you? All right, now that you identify the skills that you have, you're now identifying roles that you want to potentially consider as well within your job search. How are you bridging that gap, right? What are you trying to offer to the company? What skills do you need? And so, what we're going to do is take the time out to be able to, one, open up your LinkedIn profile, like the page, or any job search board. You could just use Google web browser. And we're going to search for some of these key terms, right? Whatever, again, this is all whatever it is that you're searching for within your existing job search, whatever your job search is. I want you to be able to look at least 2 to 3 job listings and identify the skill sets that align with that role as it aligns with your background as well. And then we're going to set the timer, Janelle. So we're only going to spend 5 minutes on this. Let's see. Okay. Okay. Post check. How's everyone doing? You could just react with a reaction and let me know if you're feeling good. Thumbs down if you're feeling bad. Happy face if you're feeling excited. But y'all still here. Y'all still with me. Love it. Love it. Thanks, Alima. We have awesome things we have. Amazing. So we have close to 60 seconds left, and then we're going to debrief and move on. All right, y'all. How was that? What did you all come up with? Feel free to share in the chat. I would love to know what were some of the roles that you were sourcing online? And what is the one skill that you noticed was consistent across either two or three of the job postings that you source? Post check, post check. Yes. Okay. Awesome. There we go. Be how marketing specialists developing strategies, creating campaigns. All right. So marketing specialists and those were the two developing strategies, creating campaigns. Have you seen anything AI related? So was it strictly like marketing specialists, not AI marketing specialists? Because I'm curious to see, if you saw like a trend or a tool or a platform that you haven't heard of that was consistent across all three of those job postings. Oh, the analyst, AI automation. Okay. I like the compliance analyst aspect. I love that. Thank you, Alima. AI automation. Okay. That's definitely. And then also, even though we talk about like AI and automation, AI ethics as well. So don't forget that. AI ethics, the best practices behind it. Not as much specifically about AI. Thank you, Janelle. Not as much specifically about AI, but they all use different platforms for analysts, though. They are all similar. All right. All right, now okay. Awesome. Awesome. All right. Great debrief there. Thank you all for participating in that exercise. All right. So we're going to take a step away from the exercises for another bit. Janelle, next slide. All right. So next up, as we talk about skills development, one thing that I always tell to all of my clients is research, research, research. And it's not just the skills aspect as much as researching the company in general. One is because I know that we are in a time where the market is saturated. A lot of people are looking for work. But the one thing I know for sure is that recruiters, hiring managers are looking for candidates who not only have the same, have the skill set, right, but relate to the org, right? That relates to the org's mission. Because when I'm working with clients and I'm just like, hey, well, what type of roles are we considering? Oh, I'm looking to apply for any and everything. That's great. But what interests you the most? I'm just looking to get my first job. When we think back to 3 to 4 years ago, maybe that was able to sell, right? Back then, if you were a UXer, you knew a little bit of Canva, you knew a little bit of Figma. All you had to do, they look at the paper, you got the job. If you was an engineer, same thing, right? But now it's a little bit different where the competition is much higher, right? The market, yes, is saturated. There's opportunities out there, but what they're looking for is that connector. So this is far beyond just the skill set development aspect, because one thing that is unique is that your competitors have different transferable skills from you. However, you all may have a similar skill set, but how you tie that into your brand and connect that to the org's mission is what's going to make you stand out from your other competitors. And so what we're going to do here today, or what I want you to do on your own time, is to be able to, one, go through those steps, self-assessment, two, role exploration, look at 2 to 3 or 3 to 5 jobs and see what are some of the skill sets that I'm continuously seeing over time that's a requirement for these roles. What do I need to prepare for? And create an action plan. Right? There are tons of free courses out there from on edX, Udemy. If you have LinkedIn Premium, you know that you can access the LinkedIn trainings. I have taken a ton myself, so it's nothing wrong with that. But then also industry certifications. So now you heard me talk about like AWS. I would definitely say check out Amazon's platform. I know Salesforce also just released their own platform for offering AI courses as well, where you get the Kaggle badge. You just sign up. So I'm just Google Salesforce AI courses, and that should absolutely come up. I have taken one already. It's completely free. So these are just some little steps that you can actually take to help really build up your resume and your materials towards, making that transition into into an AI related career. But the last thing that's going to be incredibly important is for you to be able to set a SMART goal, right? So really writing down what your goal is, making sure that it is specific towards you, is uniquely what it is, that goal one, what you want to do. Can it be measured? How quickly do you want to land a job? How quickly do you want to get a certification? 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 months, and stick to that. It is achievable. Yes. Is it relevant to that area that you want to transition into? Absolutely. And of course, time bound as well. Myself, I'll include this. Every year I make a long list of short-term goals and long-term goals. That's in completely different categories, but it covers all aspects or areas of my life: personal, professional, education, everything. And at the end of the year, I check off all those boxes. And then whatever is undone gets moved into the new year. So I just wanted to give you all an idea about that as well. All right, next slide. All right, networking. We all know about networking, but the difference is here, networking is going to play a major factor on how quickly you're going to be able to land a job. One thing is for certain, while like code applying was like absolutely great and wonderful. Also, folks, like you can code apply, but are you following up? Are you reaching out? Are you contacting the person that you want to be able to get connected with and learn from? No, you should. Because how most people are actually landing their jobs now and actually securing a referral is going to industry-related events. Personally, I would share my experience. I have joined, found a free AI conference online. And I joined that that AI conference online about 2-3 weeks ago. A couple of weeks ago, I joined the AI conference, and there I was able to connect with industry experts as well. Once I connected with them, I reached out on LinkedIn and wanted to set up for another date and time to be able to take a deeper dive into their background. Why? Because what I'm trying to do is build out connections and build out a rapport before I actually come with that ask. And so joining AI communities, like-minded folks who are on the same mission as you is going to be extremely important. There's where you're going to build the connections as well. But the last thing I want to say is your online presence and your thought leadership. Your thought leadership is going to be important on how you're showing up online. If this is an area that you want to transition into, I want you to think about, as a marketing specialist, as a UX designer, as an engineer, how are you showing up online? Are you sharing your thoughts? Or maybe, let's just say, for example, the new GitHub Copilot, right? Something that really triggers you and sparks your interest, just to be able to tap into that network, that additional network, right? Are you liking, comment, sharing each and every day? Are you reaching out? Are you connecting with your audience? And so that is how you're going to be able to really build your brand and actually establish yourself in this particular industry as an industry leader. Next slide. Yes, actively commenting. Next slide, Janelle. All right, now the job search. Now, we already kind of went through a few of these exercises where we focus on identifying AI-focused companies, right? And if you were searching for AI-related roles, you probably were looking at either the job description, the job title, or the exact company. For example, let's just say if you're utilizing LinkedIn, one thing that would be great if you're playing around with your LinkedIn features, wish I could kind of do like a demo here, but something's wrong with my screen. On LinkedIn, you, in the search tab, if you type in just the word artificial intelligence or AI and hit enter, you're going to have a hamburger menu that's going to drop down. That's going to say post, people, and company. And that allows you to be able to filter. What's really cool about that, a lot of people don't really utilize that feature like that, is if you put in artificial intelligence, you could just focus in on companies. It's going to give you a list of AI companies instead of you finding them on your own. The other thing, if you want to make your search a little bit easier, is that within that same hamburger menu, if you're playing with that now, within the same hamburger menu, instead of hitting companies, you hit people. And when you hit people, you're going to find people who identify or associate themselves within that particular industry or work within that organization. What I personally love to do is to be able, you brought a copy of these slides, be sure, absolutely, absolutely. Another thing that's going to be incredibly important is creating targeted applications. Now, what I love to share is quality over quality. Quality over quantity. Sorry about that. It's going to be important. Like if you're looking at it from the perspective of, oh my God, let me stop looking at the chat because y'all are hilarious. Close the chat. Quality over quantity. If you're pushing out, and I heard that exaggeration of, I submitted 100 applications this week, and there's no bait over a course of a month. It's like bumping your head against the wall a million times until you're like, it hurts, right? It's kind of like doing the same thing over and over until you get blue in the face. If you're doing the same thing over and over and you're not getting any bait, if you're doing one click apply, that's great. But for companies that you really want to work at, you should ultimately be tailoring your application. Effectively, if you're taking the time out to, hey, this company I really want to work for, customize resume and cover letter. Honestly, and if you're not going to do that, one thing I say, here's a little tip. One thing I share with most folks. If you're a software engineer and you want to pursue front end, back end, and full stack, you should have 3 different resumes. After you curated 3 different resumes, they're going to be set up with pretty much similar content, But one aspect may be heavy focus into that database, sharing context in regards to like database, or let's just say if it's front end focus, it's going to be more visual and design. So the verbiage of your resume will look different. Once you have set up 3 different resumes, find a minimum 5 different job descriptions. And what you're going to basically do is scan your resume and identify all the keyword terms, all the searches, the buzzwords that you need to have. But then you're also going to customize the language according to, let's just say, 5 job descriptions for a full stack developer. That one resume should be updated and aligned with that. Because why? Because that's called, and like, it's basically an industry trend. And when I say industry trend, usually most roles have similar requirements listed within the job description. So instead of each application you're tailoring, you're already sourcing 5 and you're updating that one resume to align with all 5 of those job descriptions, if that makes sense. Yep. Awesome. And then last few things, AI related job boards, and then also work with recruiters. The one thing I am going to share is if you haven't heard of Final Scout, I'm going to just share the name in the chat, finalscout.com. Code Apply is absolutely cool, all well and done. And then Code Outreach is pretty okay. You know, a lot of boot campers, graduates, they do the same thing, is utilize LinkedIn for that purpose. But what's going to be important, Final Scout allows you to be able to access that person's business email and contact them directly. The reason why I'm sharing that is because 9 times out of 10, a person has a higher chance in responding to you, assuming that they know you from work or something else, once you have their company email. All right, next slide. All right. Where will your brand exist? And so if you click on the slide now, thank you, your resume, your LinkedIn profile, and then also your portfolio. And so as we go through today, you're going to see me talk about like you're updating your resume, updating your LinkedIn, updating your portfolio. Why? Because the resume lays the foundation for you building out the rest of your materials. And so next slide, Janelle. And so as we think about that in context, right, my resume lays the foundation for me to build out my LinkedIn profile, if you're an engineer, GitHub README, as well as your portfolio. Ask yourself right now, what does your brand say about you? Right? Do you have a different image on LinkedIn? I've seen that. Then compared to your portfolio, do you have a different brand on GitHub? Like, how do you feel? Look, y'all are crazy. How are y'all showing up online? How do you feel about your materials? I feel like I already know with some of these jiffies. The portfolio is only mine. I mean, mine needs to create a GitHub. Okay. Is everyone here job searching? I want to know that. Everyone in here job searching, or are you actively employed and looking to make that transition? Yes. Okay. All right. Yeah. All right. Searching, employed. Okay. Mix of employed and searching. All right. Awesome. That's great to hear. That's good. So we have a mix in a row. So one thing that's going to be important is for you, I would say, let's make a note in your spreadsheet where whether it's on your LinkedIn, on the LinkedIn tab or your resume tab, wherever you want to add this note for yourself, is ask a friend, a family member, whoever you value their perspective, ask them, what does my brand say about me? Like when you see my LinkedIn profile, what does it say about me? And I'm going to say this, don't be ashamed. Because guess what? When I built out my personal site and my company site, I asked my friends over and over and over, and some of them actually did the design for my site again as well. Unpaid, right? But that's why I said if you value their feedback, then ask them. All right, next slide. Awesome. And so now we're going to jump over to like the resume audit. So as I mentioned earlier, your resume lays the foundation for you to build out your entire content across all of your materials. So when we talk about the brand on your resume, the brand on your LinkedIn profile, and the brand on your portfolio, I'm not just talking about just solely the content. You want to also, be able to review how are you showing up visually, right? Does your image look different from your portfolio, your GitHub README, your LinkedIn profile? Like if we have 3 different pictures of you, right? When we think of a brand, we think of consistency. Like if we think of McDonald's doesn't have 3 different type of arches, right? They have that. When you see the M, you know that's McDonald's. If you have children, your children let you know when they see McDonald's just by the visual, the logo. And so when we're looking at the brand, right, you want, when you begin networking, when you begin putting yourself out there, expressing your thought leadership across your portfolio, your materials. If I go in your portfolio and you submit your resume, your application, I go in your portfolio and I look through your work and I jump to LinkedIn, I'm like, okay, is this the same person? Make sure to not have a picture from like 10, 15 years ago. And please do not include any yearbook photos as well. I've just seen that where a person took a picture from a high school photo. I'm like, oh Lord. And when you know it's a high school photo is when you got the little black thing and holding the rose. Even if you take a selfie, there's background images that's going to help you be able to like remove that information as well. We want as professional as possible. But ultimately, what I'm getting at is have that visual consistency. Is that when I open my portfolio and I open a GitHub, your portfolio and your GitHub and your LinkedIn profile, the visual is consistent. Oh, that's Biha. Oh, that's Salima. I know who that is. This portfolio looks like something I've seen before. And so you want to think about that as you begin to be able to like build out your content. But ultimately, I just wanted you all, and again, you have the same content within that worksheet that I shared with you. It was a resume review, resume self-review. And so what I want you to do is when we wrap up today, go through your resume audit. Conduct that resume audit, go through the checklist. Do I lack alignment with a role, right? Have I not mentioned any skills that are listed within a job description, right? Because sometimes we don't double check. And so that's going to be important as well. And so you want to make sure that you incorporate those keywords. You want to incorporate the soft skills and the technical skills within your resume to ensure alignment with the role as well. And so again, going through your resume audit, that's going to be on the tab that says self-review. Next slide, please, Janelle. All right. So I wanted to share a quick quote that I share with all of my clients. Your first interview is your application submission. You will not receive another chance to resubmit. And so when I share that quote with you all is when everyone thinks that the first interview is like, oh, I got the first interview. They saw my resume. They saw my application. No, when we're talking about your brand, thought leadership, everything I'm sharing with you here today, and then you're presenting your resume, LinkedIn profile, GitHub portfolio, that is your first interview. Because what if you haven't noticed, right, whether you have LinkedIn Premium or not, you submit an application, and then what happens? You get a notification someone viewed your profile. If you can see it, you can see it, right? If you have premium. That's the downfall to having premium. You can't see who viewed your profile if you don't have it. That's the person more than likely putting a face to the name, right? And now they're probably looking through your profile to see, okay, what does their profile say about them? So if you have no activity or not sharing any type of thought leadership, anything, then compared to someone who is posting once, maybe twice a week, has a fully completed profile, portfolio attached, projects attached, I'm probably more inclined with the presentation to reach out to that individual versus someone who is not active on LinkedIn or doesn't have any realistic work to be able to show as well. And so next slide. All right. So I want to move on to brand statement examples. Now, I'm not going to read everything. So I do not do that. I'm not going to read what is up on the screen, but I want you all to take a minute to look at, I put together a few different versions of various industries that you all may be targeting. But the reason why I share this is because our first step was the skills assessment. The second step was the role exploration. And now the third step that we're in, we're really tapping into that branding aspect. And so when we think about how to make that connector, right? When I said earlier, how do you connect to the audience? Yes, I have these skills. What do you want to do? How do you present that to an employer, right? Because remember, that first application is your first interview. And so I wanted to share a few examples across different areas for you all to get a taste of what that would look like. And so I'll actually read the first one for you all. So this is an example, and these are legit LinkedIn profiles. So what I would do, because I think Halima asked for the presentation deck, I'll share that with you all because these are hyperlinked, so you'll be able to go to the actual site. AI product manager. I drive innovation by bridging user needs and AI capabilities, delivering data-driven solutions that enhance user experiences and meet business goals. With a passion for collaboration, I thrive at the intersection of technology, design, and strategy. Now, without knowing this individual's background, without knowing that this person is an AI product manager, would you say that their brand statement example aligns with their industry? No? Halima, why? Really? Why? Why? All right. All right, next one. Next slide, please, Janelle. Oh. Oh, I probably did. So if I said industry, my apologies. Like if you didn't know, when I meant the industry, I meant like that product piece, right? I should have said title instead, but when we look at this particular example, I want to see if you all are making the connectors with, hey, here's their brand statement. This is their background. Do you feel that their brand statement aligns with what industry they're currently in? So yes, it's AI. They work in customer service. Yes. Okay. So quantifying them benefits client. Yeah. And then Elizabeth. So Elizabeth said quantifiable examples of benefits to client. What do you mean by that, Elizabeth? Are you talking about so quantifiable examples in a brand statement for LinkedIn? Are you referencing that aspect, or because I'm thinking quantifiable examples in your experience section, but you can certainly add it to your resume. Your brand statement. Let me see any comment. Okay, all right. So I want to leave another example up, and I'm going to ask the same question. Oh, Elizabeth said, no, I thought we were trying to figure out what was missing. Oh, no. We were just going over the brand statement examples, and I was asking if we didn't know the industry, which I'm basically referring to the job title, if we didn't know the job, like the area that the individual works in, do you feel that their brand statement aligns with their industry? Because now we're working on that building your brand aspect. Awesome. Awesome. And again, I'm going to share out the slide deck for today so you have access for that to be able to go through some of these profiles and be able to research each particular individual as well and possibly connect. All right, awesome. All right, next slide, please. All right. So as we prepare to be able, you're welcome, Halima. As we prepare to be able to start crafting a brand statement ultimately, and I know you're not going to come out of here with like a winning brand statement, but at least we could get our juices flowing. Everything that we're talking about today is connecting. One is flowing into the next. One is flowing where it's like connecting the dots between all three. So when we think about crafting an effective brand statement, because this brand statement is going to be listed within your resume, within your LinkedIn profile, and within your portfolio, it needs to be addressed in three different areas. One, why, your why. What is your passion? What drives you? When I ask this question, people say money. I'm like, that is not good enough for employers. Outside of that, why do you love UX? Why do you love being a marketing specialist? Why do you love being a product manager? Right? Because I bring great experiences in this particular capacity. Great, but remember the connector and remember the skills and how does it apply to the business? All right, now next is the how, your uniqueness. Now this is your UVP. Your UVP is your unique value proposition. Past experiences tied with your transferable skill. What are you bringing to the table? How can you support the organization, right? When employers are looking to hire new people, at the end of the day, they're thinking about their business goals and their departmental goals. And how can you help them from day one, right? So next is going to be what current skill set do you have? Remember, I talked earlier just a little bit about your competitors, right? We're still focusing in on you, but the reason why upskilling is so important is because yes, we don't want to get left behind, obviously, right? But keep in mind, let's just say if you and I go to the same boot camp and we're in the same UX program and we graduate with the same skill set, the only thing that's different is our transferable skills, right? We're going to constantly have to be able to convey our message. Because sometimes what we have written on paper, when I talk about expressing your thought leadership, whatever we have written on paper, whatever we have written in our brand statement, sometimes we have to spell it out for employers, right? I use my career coaching background to be able to do A. I use my L&D background to do B. I use my program managed background to do C, right? If you have like a bullet pointed list on 3 of your core strengths and you say, this is how I use this skill to do this, right? And apply that to that area that you are seeking to transition, then you have it down pat. If you can communicate your core strengths to the employer, then you have a strong brand statement on why you'll be a good fit and how you need these skills within your organization. Interest in cybersecurity, finding rewards to say ahead, attackers ensure data security. Yes, Salima, I love that. That's a great Kickstarter. But then one thing that we want to do is to be able to provide that edge. I love always thinking outside of the box. What I want you all to really be able to think about is something that's a little bit more innovative, higher level, right? Think about potential projects that the company is currently working on that you can support. And think about how you can leverage those skills in that capacity. So we want to do a reframe of that, right? Because I love it. This is a great start, but the selling point of it, I need this. And how are you connecting AI within that area is I want you to think about. Next slide, Janelle. All right. So what we're going to do actually is spend 5 minutes. We're going to have 5 minutes on crafting your brand statement. And then we are going to take some time to debrief This is where, so crafting your brand statement, I want to say this, I want to go back here, is step 3. I have to double check and make sure. Okay, it's step 3. So what we're going to do is just, again, remember, you're not going to leave here with everything completed, but you are going to have a great start at it. So what we're going to do is review your notes from step 1 and 2, highlight any things that you feel are most important, and then begin crafting your brand statement. So Halima, you already started with one, the one that you just shared in the chat. You want to think about how can you bring in the AI key components into your brand statement. If that's what you're pursuing, how can you tie those two together? And also think about, y'all, we here talking about AI. Like, if you have Chat GPT in front of you, feel free to honestly use it during today's session. Ask Chat GPT, hey, here's my brand statement. Strengthen it to align more with a career as an AI UX designer, right? You have to be really specific. You can't say like, in AI, here's my brand statement, align it with AI. It's going to give you anything. You have to be very tailored. You have to be very tailored towards what it is that you want it to do to produce that outcome. So we're going to take 5 minutes. We have 30 seconds left. And so we're going to check in, quick post check. Thank you, Janelle. Quick post check. How's everyone feeling about that brand statement so far? Anyone lean into ChatGPT during this exercise? It's fine. It's fine if you have. All right, awesome. Let me know how you're feeling in the comments. We're gonna keep this pushing and move along. So Janelle, next slide, please. Awesome. So the skill section, we're gonna tap into this just a little bit. When I wanted to share here with you an example of a skill section for a software engineer. What's going to be important instead of, I'd like to say, pretty much like brain dumping in your resume where you're just kind of like listing out a few random skills, you want to categorize them in the appropriate categories to allow it to be able to skim through the ATS system quickly and for skimmability for recruiters. And so one thing, if you haven't noticed here, is that I remember, I think it was Salim or another person in the audience, there's a difference between practical applications and the skills that I use every day. And I'm going to reiterate this. If you touched it once, twice, you still can list that in your resume. That's not saying you're an expert. That's saying that you're knowledgeable in that field. You can always clarify if it's a necessity during a conversation with an interviewer or a recruiter. But you want to highlight those AI skills separately. And so some areas where I included that was cloud and AI solutions, where I included automation solutions, AI-driven insights, AWS, AI strategy, even if you're focused on AI ethics, especially for cybersecurity and IT folks. This is a great area for you to be able to share like your skill set and leverage that. If you have knowledge in AI ethics, include that within your skills list. Don't shy away from this area. Now, industry certifications, industry-related certifications like TensorFlow, if you have a data analysis or data scientist certification or certificate from a bootcamp or Coursera or Google Scores, include that there as well. But one thing that's going to be important is to not rank your skills. So when I say do not rank your skills, do not put like 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now, it is good to order them in a way where if, let's just say, for example, if React is like your strongest skill set, then that should be in the forefront and just let it trickle down. What I'm saying is don't list 1, 2, 3, 4. Don't rank them yourself. And so next slide. All right, how to make your past experiences stand out for AI roles. And so we've been talking about that a lot today. Is 1, focus on transferable skills. Next, 2, quantify achievement. 3, showcase your problem solving skills. 4, include relevant tools and technologies, which we are going through today. And 5 is highlight collaboration with tech and non-tech teams also. Let me show you how to do that. Next slide, Janelle. Awesome. So bullet point 4, bullet point 4. Sorry. So the first bullet point really addresses you focusing in on highlighting transferable skills. And so when we look at that in further context, like if you're looking at your past roles and you want to be able to pinpoint exactly how that aligns to AI careers, like how we've been talking about throughout this entire conversation, and you have managed teams, an example of this will look like manage cross-functional teams to deliver tech-driven marketing campaigns, improving lead conversion rates by 15%. Elizabeth, this is where you talked about like that metrics aspect, where you can certainly leverage that and include that there. And then the same rules apply. So what I would share here is that one thing that you want to pay attention to is that numbers, right? Quantity in this aspect is better than that. I'm not going to say the quality aspect, but the quantity, the metrics, the quantifiable measures is what really draws employers in. If they're reviewing your resume in 60 seconds and they need to pinpoint if you have the skills or not, Include metrics where you see deemed necessary, because that's going to be a viable thing whether you're selected to move on in the process or not. Next slide. Showcasing your problem solving skills. If you were successfully able to improve a process, you should absolutely include that here as well. An example of that will look like resolve the 20% increase in customer complaints. Again, we talked about like transferable skills in an AI capacity. You have a customer service background, you're a marketing specialist. What did you do to help improve that organization or the department or some form of process that help alleviate any sort of stress or decrease time for your entire team? Include relevant tools and technologies. We were just going through this particular exercise, is listing your all tools and technologies within your skill section. Now, what I'm going to say here is that, again, we talked about brand consistency. Everything you include on your resume should be in your LinkedIn profile, right? And then if you have a portfolio, one thing I'm going to share is that your resume should be linked in your portfolio as well. What I recommend usually is attaching a viewers only Google Doc link, because that resume can be updated, right? It's going to automatically update once you're updating your resume. Next slide. All right. Highlight collaboration within tech teams and non-tech teams. And so I think it was Salima, you sort of kind of mentioned, may not apply to you as well. But even if you feel like the role wasn't as technical, right? Like I've had administrative assistants that supported, let's just say, a product team or work underneath the CEO. And maybe a few of their daily tasks, they were involved in a technical capacity, but not maybe 100% of their role. Even if about 10% of your role involved you working with other teams from different departments, whether it's tech related or non-tech related, what you're here to do is to be able to share that you're a team player, not just an individual contributor. Because I would share there's no position out there where you're going to be solely working by yourself and not have to cross collaborate within other teams, especially the UXers. They already know that. But then I think what's important is the data analysts as well. Next slide. All right. Next slide. Okay. Awesome. So for your education section, I wanted to share an example because we spoke about creating that action plan for learning. And so what I shared here is where I highlighted this particular individual actually pursued a certification within Coursera. All right. So Coursera has a course that's called Deep Learning AI, and it's a certificate course. And so when you list your courses, at minimum, 1 or 2 bullet points to provide an overview of what the objectives were for that particular course. So if you took a course on AI ethics and you covered best practices, procedures, and just standard guidelines and policies and practices, whatever that course covers, share that context. Because the role that you're applying for wants you to may have an AI ethics background and knowledge base. And so what you taking this certification course and you listing out an overview of that particular course provides knowledge. Okay, this person, took the time out to be able to upskill, to be able to advance in their career. They have taken a course in AI ethics. Are you able to communicate that to an employer? How are you able to communicate that on paper and verbally? Because this is something that you're going to be leveraging within the entire interview process to land that job. All right. Next slide. Did it bounce out? I think it did. Oh, we lost her. I think we lost her. All right. I think she'll come back. So let me do this because I think I'm just going to pick it back up from where she had it. Sorry, y'all, these things actually happen. All right. So share screen. All right. You all can see my screen? So elevator pitch. All right. So next we are going to be talking about perfecting your elevator pitch. Why does it matter? So we already talked about skills assessment, role exploration. We talked about networking and job search and building your brand. And then the last thing, second to last thing is you're perfecting your elevator pitch. And so your elevator pitch is a pitch that you're going to be utilizing at conferences, at job fairs, and industry meetups, where you're going to be focusing in on conveying your unique value proposition, which is your skills and your goals, quickly and effectively. And when you think about it in context, your brand statement is ultimately your response for that question, tell me about yourself. So similar to your brand statement build out, that exercise that we went through, you're going to be talking a little bit further about who you are, what it is that you do, your UVP, as I mentioned earlier, and your goal within the organization. And so on your worksheet that I shared with you earlier, you're going to take the time out, not today, because we have to wrap soon, we're a little over, but you're going to take the time out to be able to work on crafting a 60-second elevator pitch that focuses in on these different areas. And I have shared prompts for you all to be able to go through. And so it directs you to be able to review your notes from your brand statement, identify that key skill or expertise, and your value proposition. How are you positioning yourself to employers? What it is that you bring to the table? What do you have to offer? And ultimately, what are you trying to achieve? And then I shared a few tips for you all as well to be able to help get you started. And then last thing is take action. We talked about a few different ways so far on how you can actually take action within your job search. Is one, identifying AI communities and where you could connect with like-minded and industry professionals. Sharing your thought leadership on LinkedIn as well. Something that feels, here this person, Robert Santiago, shared just a few lines that this particular post actually received a lot of impressions and a lot of reactions. Just sharing a few thoughts on AI, which I thought was super cool. And then the next thing is attending a conference or a networking event. Doesn't necessarily have to be a conference, but if it is, free AI conferences are absolutely out there. Just Google free AI conferences and just go through the links. That's really how I found my last event. And I really enjoyed it also. So, all right. And then as you continue to grow your brand, this is not something that's a one size fits all. This is not something that, hey, I'm super energized about. I'm going to begin posting like tomorrow and then fall off. If you're going to commit, and sometimes it's hard to do 5 days a week or to be able to show up like online, commit to 1 day a week, commit to 2 days, whatever works for you and allow it to make sense. But as you go throughout that entire process, you're probably going to hear the same exact thing from just other people who's in your life, who's taking the same direction, or mentors in the same area as well. And so what I wanted to share with you, I shared a few links, a few things. If you haven't heard of ADP List, I strongly encourage you to check it out. ADP List is a free platform to all like career transitioners, techers, people who are in the industry currently, across data analytics, product, you name it. And the services are absolutely free. And you can schedule some time with an industry mentor and talk about whatever it is that you want to talk about, how to grow your brand, how to build out your portfolio, how to build out your case studies. And so take this as an opportunity to be able to grow and build out your network. And then during that same time, stay curious as well. All right, curious about new technologies. And so what I wanted to do is share Coursera, Udemy, and Kaggle if you haven't heard of them before. And of course, you all know LinkedIn Learning. questions, comments, concerns, thoughts, because we're wrapped up. This is awesome. Thank you all for sticking with me so long. Let me see. Okay. No worries. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So, all right. No questions. All right. So if you want, again, connect with me on LinkedIn at Dejanay Meeks. If you haven't done so already, I can share.
Before you move on, there was a question. I just want to make sure that you knew that was there.
Okay.
What are most valuable skills for our next employer? I have plenty of them, but I don't want to add them all to not overwhelm the recruiter. How do I choose wisely? That's from Nadala.
Yeah. Is she still in a room? Hopefully she's still in a room. Yep, she's still in a room. So let me go back to your question. What are the most valuable skills? So what's going to be important is really looking at the job description, because the job description is going to be able to tell you what the employers are looking for. This is not only going to help you tailor your resume and your other materials, but this is going to help you continue that conversation. So you could customize your cover letter and your resume, but then utilize that same verbiage in the conversation. So let's just say an employer wants someone who has a background in career coaching, career coordination, event planning, right? So when you're storytelling, you're going to say, hey, you know, in my previous role, I'm using me as an example. In my previous role at General Assembly, where I worked as a career coach, I was responsible for overseeing a caseload of 160 students, where I provided one-on-one career coaching support, including event planning for alumni and job search events. You see how my story, not if I'm pronouncing your name correctly, but you see how like I'm developing that story where I pinpointed 3 different areas and I'm hitting that mark and I'm telling that story: career coaching, coordination, event planning. I'm really diving into that aspect. So for each job that you apply for, each position that you actually secure, like interview for, you want to be able to go back to that job description, review it all over again, and tailor your responses to include that particular verbiage from the JD, and as you begin to storytell. I hope that answers your question. Awesome. All right, let me see. All right. All right, y'all.
So thank you. That was great.
Oh, no worries. Awesome, awesome. Thank you. So I'm going to stop sharing really quickly. I'm just going to share out a few links for you to be able to like connect with me on LinkedIn. And yeah, I believe most of you all already connected. And oh yeah, most of you are already connected, but I'm going to share it out anyway. All right. And then also, if you want to check me out on my company page, I shared that link there as well, because I know how hard it is to be able to download that. And then as promised, I feel like I cannot leave without doing this. Let's see if this works, because everyone asked for this PDF. I'm a joker if you don't realize that by now. They're like, we're not leaving because she said that she was going to give this presentation. Let me see. All right. I'm downloading it now, y'all. All right. Let's see. Y'all getting the best of both worlds. Jesus, why didn't I want to? There we go. All right. It's uploading. There you go. So I'm going to give you all, Adrian, if you could give them like a minute or two and then react with a thumbs up once you download the PDF, because once it's once it's in the chat and we close out, then it's gone. So I want to give you guys a minute or two to be able to grab that PDF. Hope you enjoyed the session. And thank you for sticking with me past the time.
No problem. I don't see it in the chat just yet, but
in the chat? It's literally,
Yeah, but if I can help with an assist, do you want me to share the Google Slides link?
yeah, so let's just do this. Because I downloaded the PDF and it said 100% uploaded. And then it,
Let me see if I can help too. Here, I have your presentation.
I'm going to do
Oh,
that.
it's there now. It's there now.
Okay.
We both did it.
Okay. At the same time. Okay, there I go. All right.
All
Awesome.
right, you guys. Perfect.
Yeah.
That was phenomenal. Thank you so much for
Thank
just
you.
pouring out that wealth of knowledge. That's amazing.
Awesome. And I hope you all enjoy pretty much, the AI worksheet to be able to help you get started and track your entire job search process. Is there to be able to support you on guided questions and activities that you should take those next steps. And so, yeah, you truly left here with some gems.
Make sure you grab that worksheet too. If anyone lost it or let it go, make sure you go get it back.
Let me see.
And if you can, also before we go, if you enjoyed the session, which I feel like everyone who is still here absolutely did, that's what I'm getting from this. Please provide some feedback via our survey. We'd like to share that. And other than that, thank you guys all for just hanging out with us all week long during our kickoff week. This has been amazing to be able to spend this much time with you guys, learning, just being like loved on and poured into by our amazing facilitators. We thank you for your time, which is very valuable. So the fact that you were willing to offer so much of it is just very precious. And I feel like everyone, including myself, we all got a lot from this. So thank you guys.
Thank you.
This was great.
Awesome. Thank you, everyone. You have a great week.
All right. Bye, guys. See you next time.